Oh, my tenant is trying to sue me. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Orlando, and as you saw in the beginning intro here, my tenant is trying to sue me. And I believe this is a really good teachable moment. So I just want to share my experience and what I'm doing during that process and how it all played out. So I think it's best if I kind of give you a backstory of exactly what all happened. How did I get into this situation? And so let's just start with me purchasing the apartment complex. I went out and I purchased an apartment complex, and the reason why I purchased this apartment complex is when I went and looked at this apartment complex and spoke to the manager, I could tell that the property was very, very mismanaged. When I spoke to the owner, I asked for things like your rent roll, which a rent roll is where you basically find out exactly who all stays in the unit, how long their leases are, and how much they're paying a month. And what I ended up getting was a notebook, right? With everything kind of written on it saying, look, this is what I charge. It wasn't in any particular form. So it kind of let me know already what I was dealing with. I was dealing with the owner who didn't really keep up on bookkeeping and things of that nature, which if you're in the real estate game, you kind of know that you get excited about that because you feel that you're gonna get a really good deal on the property. So I was excited about that, and as I asked more questions and more questions, I found out that the owner really just didn't keep any bookkeeping. I had to pretty much do all the research myself, figure out, how much he was charging for this and that, what taxes were. I just had to do all of my research, which I do that anyway, so it wasn't really a big deal to me. But one of the biggest things were the owner really, when it came to leases, his leases were kind of all messed up. It was done on a contract, but then he was letting his tenants go month to month. You couldn't really tell if there was a security deposit, if there wasn't a security deposit. The language within the contract was old, up to date. Some of the contracts even had older tenants' names on it and didn't have the correct tenants in there. So it was a complete mess. And I was like, but the owner made up with that when it came to the price. For me, if you've seen my other videos, I'm a really big person when it comes to location. And this was in a location, and the property and the way that it was managed was like more of a C property, which is fantastic. So it's an A location, schools are great, the location is just A+, but it was just mismanaged, and that's what I was looking for. And when it came to the price, he gave me a really good price, right? I mean, the price in itself was probably, 30% or 40% off what the value of the property was, and that the owner, he just wanted out of it. He was an older gentleman, and he just wanted out of the property like ASAP. He didn't feel like managing anymore, and it was just becoming a headache as far as liabilities and things of that nature. And it's probably because of the way, like I said, the way that he managed the property. The property wasn't managed well. You had weeds growing. The landscaping was horrible. It wasn't a very good, appealing property to the eye. But once you got inside of the property, everything was kind of new. Everything was already, he had it professionally built out, like rehabbed and things of that nature. A lot of things were just superb inside, but the outside of it just made it look like a dump. So as I got ownership of the property, one of the things that I wanted to do was I was trying to transfer everyone over to my property management team. And my property management team came across one tenant that was being really, really picky on the amount of money he said that he dropped into his security deposit. And if you don't know what a security deposit is basically, you basically give up a security deposit so that if you damage the property, then that amount will be taken out at the end when you move out. So let's say at the end of it, you don't clean up or you mess up the property or whatnot, and it's $400. $400 would be taken out of whatever your security deposit is. So this tenant was basically saying like, hey, property management team, I put $700 down and you guys are trying to say that this new contract, I have no security deposit. I did put down security deposit. Well, I spoke to the owner, the previous owner didn't have a contract showing that. Neither did the tenant, but the tenant was just like, I did it. I know I did it. He couldn't show bank statements, said that he paid in cash and all this other stuff. So he was like, I put down a $700 deposit, and that's just what it is. I'm not signing this contract, blah, 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 blah. Now, remember, I've gotten everybody else to sign it except this one tenant. So I make an executive decision to go ahead and just whatever, just give the guy the $700, and then we put the $700 down on as his deposit. He signs the new contract over to the new lease, and everybody's happy. Now I have everybody on new leases underneath the property management, so property management can do its job. So let's fast forward and let's get to the portion where he sues me, or he's trying to sue me, and we get to the move out. So a year later, the guy moves out, and we're trying to get everything together, and he moves out, and the property management goes in there and says, oh, well, you know, he didn't clean up. There's grease everywhere. There's this and this and that. And so they end up sending out a professional crew, which is in the lease, that if you do not clean up, that a professional cleaner will come there and clean up the unit. Well, that's what happened. We end up sending someone there to clean up the unit because he did not clean the unit right for the next person to move in. Well, he states that he cleaned up the unit and that, you know, XYZ, you know, we charge him erroneously, you know, like we just trying to steal money away from him. But the truth is that they took pictures of what was clean, what wasn't clean, and all this other stuff. And he just was fighting me on this. And I told the property management, no, stick to your guns. I already gave this guy $700 and a deposit that he couldn't prove. Now he's sitting up here saying that he cleaned the property when I went in there myself and looked at the property, the unit itself, and it was dirty. It had grease on the walls. It wasn't swept. The bathroom was dirty. It just wasn't cleaned at all. And I knew this. I went in there and saw it with my own eyes, and it was not clean. Well, anyway, 3-4 weeks ago, I end up getting an email from my property management that they have been contacted by a lawyer, and the lawyer has sent over documents that he's going to do a lawsuit for, get this, guys, get this. They're going to sue me for $500. Five. 100, 200, 300, 400, $500 these guys are gonna sue me for. So my property management team says, hey, we'll do whatever you want to do. If you want to get the team together and kind of go after it and prove it and all that other stuff, then we can do that. You know, that's we have an in-house team. I mean, that's what property management is for. And, you know, I go and I think about it and I just go, you know, I really don't want to deal with this. You know, like, not only has this guy been a thorn in my side the entire time that we've tried to go through this transition from the previous owner to me, but now I've given this guy $700. He didn't clean up the property right when he moved out. Now he's trying to lie and say that he cleaned it and all this other stuff. And it's probably because I shouldn't have gave him the $700 to begin with, and he's taking advantage of me. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
So I tell the property management, I go, you know what? I don't really feel like dealing with this. So it's just a cost of doing business. This guy's out of my hair. We'll have someone new in there in a contract, and they'll be locked into actual contract. We'll be able to follow the money and security deposit. So just give the guy back his full deposit, $700. I'll go ahead and eat the $400 cost of the cleaning. So just to get the guy out of my hair, because I don't want to spend my time. And I know some of you guys may look at this and go, no, I would have fought the guy, but I look at it as a cost of doing business. I already made a lot of money on buying the property and fixing it up, and then on the appreciation portion. I'm making a killing on the cash flow portion of it, way more than $500. So you think to yourself, is me hiring a lawyer or using the lawyer from the property management that's probably gonna cost me more than $500? Is it worth going for this guy? Yeah, I probably could win and allow him to, and then force him to pay my legal fees and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, is it worth the trouble for $500? And the answer to that, to me, is no, it's not. It's not worth $500. I knew what I was getting into when I bought this property, and it didn't have all the paperwork and all the the things that I normally have to make sure that a property works the right way, making sure everybody's underneath the contract, making sure that you could track the money and the deposits and things of that nature. And I bought a property knowing that a lot of these components were missing. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm lucky and I'm happy that it was only one person that gave me a headache rather than having 20 tenants that could have given me a headache. So at the end of the day, I felt like this is the cost of doing business. I'll go ahead and give this guy his $500 or whatever and give him his full deposit of $700 and then get the guy out of my head and never have to deal with him ever again. And so what I'm trying to convey over with this message is that you will run into scenarios where tenants will try to push your buttons and try to do things that you think that aren't fair. But you need to look really at the big picture. I'm not saying that you need to bend over for every tenant, but you need to look at the scenario as a whole and think to yourself, is it worth my time dealing with this, or is it worth my time just kind of getting rid of it? And in this scenario, I believe that it was worth my time to get rid of it rather than to go through the entire legal process of actually going to court and this and hiring an attorney and things of that nature. And so when I decided to do that and we went ahead and actually, to be honest with you, we didn't give him the full $700. We ended up starting at $500 and he accepted it immediately. So instead of giving him the full $700 deposit, we still cut it down and gave him $500 instead of the $700. So I still feel like I won in that scenario and I didn't get hit in the pocket really at all when it comes to the big scheme of things. So sometimes it's just the cost of doing business, especially when it comes to getting a property and kind of assessing and understanding that maybe not all the things are there that normally should be there, like contracts and things of that nature. And you know, you will run into scenarios where you will have headache tenants like that. Every tenant that you deal with won't be carefree. You can try your hardest to make sure that you screen and make sure you keep all the bad tenants out of your property, but there will be some that slip in, that come underneath circumstances that may turn them into a bad tenant. But either way, it's your job and you kind of signed up to do this as far as investing goes. And you just got to kind of sometimes eat some of those losses. Even at the end of the day, it really wasn't a loss. But if you look at it, the fact that I end up having to paying him $500, even though, you know, it wasn't untrue and stuff, some people may consider that a loss. But I got rid of him. A new tenant moved into there. I even raised the rent on him moving out. So at the end of the day, it kind of worked out because he was paying a low rent. And then all of a sudden, when he moved out, I was able to raise the rent up to the market rent of $250 more. So I'm able to raise the rent by $250, but then I'm also able to give him his $500 to go away. And we didn't pay the full $700. So, I mean, you can do the math. I don't have to do the math for you. I really, in my sense, for me, I won. So please comment below and let me know what you think of this story. You think if I won or if you think I didn't. I would really, really love to hear that. What do you think? Did I win? Did I lose? What would you have done in that scenario? Once again, guys, if you got value out of this content, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button and that like button so that when I release videos like this, you will be notified ASAP. And I will see you guys in the next one.